Hands. Hey everybody, Phil Kerner here, the guy from Erie. And not only am I the guy from Erie, I am the world's greatest tool and die maker. And like most great tool and die makers, I'm sitting in my kitchen tonight, and most people keep cooking utensils in their kitchen. I keep gauge blocks and sine bars. So what I wanted to teach all of you tonight is how to use a sine bar and what a sine bar is really used for. Well, you know, in the construction world, when somebody has to do something on an angle, they use a little magnetic thing here, and they tip their wood up until they get it to the angle they want. But for precision tool and die makers and machinists, we need to do a little bit better. So the first thing you need to know about sine bars, a sine is not a sign like a sign you see on a wall. A sine is S-I-N-E. And if you take the sine of any angle times the length of the sine bar, then you know how big to stack up your blocks under it. I remember years ago I asked somebody how to use a sine bar, or what is the sine bar used for? They said for doing sines. Well, that didn't help me. So anyways, here are three different sine bars. Here's a 3-inch sine bar, homemade, 5-inch, and a 10-inch, very unusual. So back in the old days, if we wanted to set up an angle, we'd get our handy dandy book out back in the 70s and 80s. And tonight, for an example, we're going to use 15 degrees. So back in the old days, we would look up in our book 15 degrees, and there's the sine of 15 degrees. Oh my God, 0.25882. If you take that number, 0.25882, times however big your sine bar is. And sine bars go from the distance between the two rolls. This is 3 inches. This is 5 inches. This is 10 inches in between the centers. So let's try a 5-inch times 5. 1.294. So what we've done here is I've got my gauge blocks here, and we'll take a 1-inch gauge block, a 150 gauge block, we slide them together, and then we take the 144. Now we have 1-inch 294, and if we set this up with a 5-inch sine bar, voila, 20 degrees. See how that works? You would do the same formula for 15 degrees sine times 3 for the distance between these two, or times 10 for the difference between these two. Now, after 20 years of doing this, you get bored with bringing these gauge blocks together all the time. So what I did is went ahead and made pre-made sine blocks. This is a 15-degree sine block already ground up. I don't have to do this anymore and put these blocks together. When I need to do 15 degrees, I just do that. Done. Because I am the world's fastest tool and die maker. Just one word of advice before we're done, and I'll put the formula at the end of the video. You can't take, if you want to do 18 degrees, you can't take a pre-made block for 15 and put it with a 3 and get 18. It doesn't work that way. So this is Phil Kerner, the guy from Erie. Sine bars are used to set pieces up on precision angles. They're used for milling, grinding, and especially inspection. So if you really want to get an angle perfectly correct, you need to use a sine bar. Again, they come in many different variations. This again is a 3-inch. And we used to have to make these because they were so expensive. You can probably buy them now for 20 bucks. So that's how to use a sine bar. Good luck. And if this didn't help you at all, watch it again. Did you learn anything?
Yes.
No, you didn't.